Morning, everyone. How's it going? Hope you're having a good one so far. Again, my name's Ian. I'm the product manager for the compliance group here at GitLab. And joining me is Nate, who's the engineering manager for the group. And as usual, just going to give our usual milestone planning updates for what we're going to be working on for the 17.6 release. So I'll be going through the priority list here, as you can see on the screen. And then Nate will take over for the second half of the recording to talk through the work that we'll be doing for each of these initiatives. So let's jump right into it. So the first one, hopefully it will come as a surprise for those who have been following the series. We continue to work on custom adherence configuration, and the idea is, again, to remove standards from GitLab and introduce frameworks as well as requirements into GitLab as well, and making sure that that experience in creating a compliance framework in GitLab is streamlined and as well as being more aligned to industry standards as well. So we continue to prioritize this work, and we hope to get it out to folks' hands really soon as well. The second thing that we'll be working on is around adding compliance adherence requirements for each security scanner. So currently we are working on prioritizing adding both the SAS and DAS checks to GitLab into the compliance center, so that when you're able to set that setting in terms of enabling SAS or DAS for your projects, we'll be able to check and see whether or not they have been enabled and to flag in instances when they haven't been enabled for your particular projects. So we'll be continuing to look at those two scanners as the first checks to include in the compliance center before we might prioritize some of the other ones in later milestones. Thirdly, we continue to work on the migration work to migrate compliance pipelines to security policies. We've been seeing really great success in terms of the communication plan that we have in place for this, as well as some of the work in the UI we have to help folks migrate over to security policies. And again, we're continuing to work some UI elements into the current creation of compliance pipelines to further encourage users to move to security policies before the removal of compliance pipelines in 18.0. Moving on to the fourth priority, again, we want to be working on performance improvements and making sure that your audit events are remain performant and scalable. So we'll be working on some of that for the sales initiative, and conversely as well, when you see point 6 around the consolidation of tables for streaming audit events, that's around the same themes of ensuring that your audit events are performant and at scale as well. On point number 5 for compliance center improvements, so we'll be working on adding subgroup filtering as well as implementing some speed improvements, as we've been hearing feedback from customers that there's been some slowdowns in the compliance center, especially when they have a certain number of frameworks that they're using there. So we want to make sure that that's, again, something that can scale up to the usage of our customers, and that we want to ensure that they're able to, have a responsive UI when they're using the compliance center. So we'll be working on improving some of that there. And finally, for the last priority there, we'll be looking to add around 2 new lighthouse metrics, and we'll be focusing on some of that for this release as well. So that's the priority list for the 17.6 release. I'll be handing it over to Nate to talk about the nitty-gritty. Nate.
Awesome, thanks, Ian. So yeah, the top priority for us is still the custom adherence configuration MVC. In 17.5, we spent a lot of time on scalability review and implementing some of the back-end changes to necessitate the APIs and front-end changes. So in 17.6, we'll be looking to roll out the GraphQL APIs and start on a lot of the front-end issues to add requirements, controls into it. So hopefully by the end of this, we'll have it behind a feature flag and be able to start playing around with that and testing that. The adding requirements for each of the scanners, as mentioned, we're going to be adding the SAST and DAST scanners to our current checks that we have in the current adherence report. So that will be able to release in 17.6. Next, with the compliance pipeline to security policies migration work, we're going to be adding more deterrence, but also removing some of the notifications. So we currently have a big banner in the UI for around compliance pipelines. If there is no compliance pipeline configured, we'll be hiding that banner behind an accordion just to ease a lot of the load on the UI at the moment. the sales initiative. So unfortunately in 17.5 we had a bit of a problem with the migration of data in the background. We're continuing forward with the group and instance controllers and getting the code level right, but we're going to have to spend some work there just making sure that the data migration is perfect. And the compliance center improvements. So we're wanting to add subgroup filtering to the projects report, I believe, to make it easier to find the projects that you're after, and also implement some speed improvements so that we can handle at scale when customers have huge amounts of projects assigned to frameworks, and just help with the search and ability to actually use the compliance center. And then we have the consolidation of streaming audit events. So we want to have, this has been on pause roughly for the last couple of milestones. We're getting back into just closing this out. So we'll have all of the APIs completed and have a lot of the helpers done and all behind feature flags so that we can look at turning it on in 17.7 and migrating over to this new streaming architecture. And then finally, we've got the engineering and product metrics. So as mentioned by Ian, we'll be adding 2 new Lighthouse metrics, and yeah, will give us a better insight into how our products are being used. And that's it from the goals we have for 17.6.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. And thanks everyone for watching. And yeah, we'll catch you at the next one.